Before I say thanks to God, I want to get straight to the point. We are not savages. We are not animals. We are not aliens. We are humans, and we are Americans. This is something that needs to be heard right now. Music superstar Bad Bunny. Music superstar Bad Bunny, thanks to God. I just want to say something before giving thanks. Last night, he had to speak directly to millions of Americans who have been misled by this administration. He had to remind them that we are not savages. That is exactly how many Hispanic communities and others who are not white have been treated. Many people, including white people, have been ignored, pushed aside, and in some cases even attacked. But we are Americans. And you know, we've discussed before how rock stars, music stars, and Hollywood celebrities often don't have a strong impact on politics. Sometimes they can even hurt the cause because they seem disconnected. But that is not the case with Bad Bunny. That is not the case with a man who is recognized as one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star, musically among Hispanics and other Americans. He is going to perform at the Super Bowl halftime, and it comes at a moment when his voice is cutting through American culture like never before. It is similar to Charles Barkley, a person who usually avoids politics, but when he speaks, it reaches millions. This is broken through in a way that has been politically challenging for Republicans. We saw that over the weekend in Fort Worth, Texas. But more importantly, it highlights the real-life struggles of so many Americans, so many families, and so many migrants. The situation is reaching a critical point. It is terrifying. They are taking 5-year-old children, mothers, grandmothers. People are disappearing. The White House thought they could lie their way through this. They tried to make people believe that these migrants were dangerous or terrorists. But Americans are no longer believing those lies. They are paying a political price for it. And I hope and pray that those in power will be wise enough to radically change their approach. Compassion alone isn't enough. They need to act wisely because their current policies are not working. They are hurting their support and causing deep suffering. Look at the most terrifying examples of what is happening. People across the political spectrum are alarmed. The events in Minneapolis in recent weeks have broken through in public consciousness. Bad Bunny's example shows how a cultural figure can shine a light on injustice. This performance will be in Spanish, and you can already imagine the outrage on Monday morning from political commentators who will be upset. Meanwhile, developments with the Trump administration's immigration enforcement have created fear and uncertainty. A 5-year-old boy and his father were recently released in Minnesota after a federal judge intervened. They were detained last month. Reports show that immigration officers even used the preschooler as bait. This is how extreme the tactics have become. The U.S. District Judge condemned the administration's actions, noting that children have been subjected to deportation quotas, even when it means traumatizing them. At the same time, a U.S. citizen was pulled from her car at gunpoint for observing and recording immigration enforcement activity in Minnesota. The footage was shared publicly, showing the terrifying reality for those caught in these situations. ICE agents now have broader authority to make arrests without a warrant under a federal law, which allows them to act if they believe a person may escape before a warrant can be obtained. But judges in multiple cases have found that the administration is ignoring long-standing legal interpretations, which require that many detained individuals be released if they post bond. More than 500,000 Haitians living in the U.S. could lose their immigration status soon, as a humanitarian visa program is about to expire. Ohio officials are concerned this will lead to increased ICE activity because of the state's Haitian population. The Republican governor of Ohio even called the move a mistake, highlighting that these residents are hard-working, contributing members of their communities. Joe, I wonder what the Supreme Court does every day. We see lower court judges appointed by Trump, Obama, and Bush stepping in to fill the gaps caused by unconstitutional actions, but the Supreme Court itself has been largely inactive. The president's administration has ignored multiple court orders, conducted warrantless searches, and detained people longer than allowed. This is the kind of situation that any traditional Republican would oppose. Big government overreach should alarm everyone.
People's First and Second Amendment rights are being violated. The Treasury Secretary, FBI, and even the President have suggested that citizens exercising Second Amendment rights could be shot if they attend rallies. Yet when the MAGA supporters do similar things, they are praised. Where is the Supreme Court? Why aren't they protecting Americans' rights? They have dragged their feet for over a year, while headlines show the consequences every day. The Trump administration could not deploy military troops to cities properly. The Supreme Court did nothing. That is illegal and unconstitutional. First-year law students know this. You don't need the Harvard Law Review to see it. Yet the court has delayed, allowed federal agencies to act without legal checks, and let American cities suffer. How long will this continue? How many more Americans will be harmed before action is taken?
The Supreme Court still has the power to stop this. The Roberts Court understands what is happening in America. They can act, but they continue to hesitate. They could stop illegal detentions, paramilitary forces roaming cities, and the violation of Americans' constitutional rights, yet they wait. Meanwhile, ICE and DHS are creating chaos in American cities. Why is this happening? What are they afraid of? Every day, news stories show families being torn apart, children being used as bait, and people disappearing. It is unacceptable. The Supreme Court must act. They cannot continue dragging their feet while Americans' rights are ignored. Every first-year law student knows what the law requires, yet here we are, in a country being torn apart by federal agencies acting without accountability. Consider Minneapolis and Ohio. These places were targeted for enforcement because of conspiracy theories and racial bias. In Minneapolis, it has affected the Somali community. In Ohio, the Haitian community is under threat. Some right-wing theories have fueled these actions, but regardless of politics, no one should live in fear of being taken from their home, separated from their family, or threatened simply for their heritage or language. The administration's policies have ignored decades of legal precedent. They have traumatized families and destroyed trust in government. This is not speculation, this is reality, and Americans are watching. They are angry, and they have every right to be. It is time for accountability. Policies that allow paramilitary forces to operate without legal limits, that treat children as tools, and that detain people unjustly must end. The Supreme Court cannot continue to sit idly by. It is their responsibility to uphold the Constitution and protect Americans. The Roberts Court cannot allow unchecked government power to dictate lives without consequences. Each day of delay is another day Americans suffer. Each moment of inaction emboldens those willing to abuse power. We must also consider the human impact. Families are living in fear. Children are being traumatized. People are being detained without cause. Hard-working immigrants who contribute to their communities live with uncertainty and danger. A 5-year-old child should never be used as bait. Mothers and grandmothers should never disappear without explanation. This is a moral crisis as well as a legal one. Americans, no matter what their background, deserve safety, fairness, and justice. Cultural icons like Bad Bunny are helping shine a light on this injustice. They reach people in ways politicians cannot. They remind Americans that the human cost is real, that these policies are breaking families, and that our country must do better. At the same time, political leaders are watching. The Trump administration's tactics are not only failing, they are causing long-term damage to support, trust, and the social fabric of the country. By continuing these policies, they risk alienating communities, creating political backlash, and deepening divisions. The law is clear. Enforcement cannot override human rights or constitutional protections. Judges have ruled against many of these policies, yet the administration continues, ignoring the rulings, acting with impunity. Americans are asking, where is justice? Where is the Supreme Court? The court has the ability to stop this, to protect citizens, and to set clear legal boundaries. Delay is no longer acceptable. Every day matters. Every family matters. Every child matters. This is not a complicated issue. The law is clear. The Constitution is clear. Americans' rights are clear. First-year law students can see it, yet the highest court in the country hesitates. Meanwhile, families suffer, children cry, mothers and fathers live in fear, communities are disrupted. Cultural icons speak, journalists document, and citizens protest. The message is simple. Stop the abuse, protect Americans, follow the law, uphold the Constitution. Global USA News will continue to report on this because people deserve the truth, clarity, and accountability. We cannot allow fear, politics, or delay to override justice. The time for action is now. The Supreme Court must step up. ICE and DHS must act within the law, and the American people must be protected. This is a pivotal moment in American history. It is a test of our legal system, our moral compass, and our commitment to justice. Families must be safe, immigrants must be treated fairly, law enforcement must operate within clear legal limits, and the courts must enforce those limits without fear or delay. Global USA News will continue to shine a light on these abuses because silence allows injustice to continue. The Constitution guarantees rights. Every American deserves them. Every citizen, every child, every family. The time to act is not next week. The time to act is today. The country cannot wait. Justice cannot wait. Humanity cannot wait. The stories of Minneapolis, Ohio, and other cities show the real consequences of unchecked power. They reveal the need for urgent action, for the courts to fulfill their duty, and for enforcement agencies to follow the law. It is simple. No person should live in fear of arbitrary detention. No family should be separated. No child should be used as a tool for policy. The Supreme Court must uphold the law, defend the Constitution, and protect Americans. The American people deserve nothing less. Every day of delay costs lives, safety, and trust. Global USA News will continue to report, continue to hold power accountable, and continue to demand that justice and fairness guide our nation. The eyes of the nation are watching, the voices of the people are demanding change, and history will remember whether the courts and the government acted in time to protect what is right.